बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम वसल्लल्लाहु अला नबील करीम रब्बिश्रह ली सदरी वयस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। Today I would like to say a few words about Zakat. Zakat is one of the important teachings of Islam. According to Hadith, there are 5 pillars of Islam, Al-Arkanul Khamsa. These 5 pillars are like this: Kalima Tawheed, Namaz, that is prayer, fasting, that is Sawm, Zakat, and Hajj. These are 5 pillars of Islam. Now, there is a hadith about Roza. لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ زَكَاتٌ وَزَكَاتُ الْجَسَدِ الصَّوْمُ. Everything, there are zakat for everything, and zakat of body is Sawm, that is fasting. Now, zakat is an Arabic word. Literally it means purification or making pure. So, according to Islam, purification or zakat or tazkiyah is most important teaching of Islam. In this world, we are impure. Now, we have to purify our soul in every aspect. This is our test. This is our text. TEST. This is our test. Man is born as impure, and it is his test that he must purify himself. So, I think there are 5 basic aspects of human life, and these 5 principles, are Al-Arkanul Khamsa, cover all these 5 aspects of human life. The first is Kalima Tawheed. Kalima Tawheed means belief. Kalima Tawheed pertains to belief system. Belief system. So, Kalima Tawheed is a way of purification of your thought. When you believe in the oneness of God, then you purify your mind, because mind may believe in different things, but when you adopt kalama tawheed, then you find the starting point. Then you find how to purify your thought, how to purify your mind, how to purify your intellectual being. So kalama tawheed means purifying your intellectual aspect of life, that is mind, that is soul. So kalama tawheed is not simply a recitation, it is a principle. It is not simply a recitation, it is a principle. By this principle, you can purify your mind. When you believe in oneness of God, you find that basic principle by which you can purify yourself in terms of intellectual development or spiritual development. So this is the first principle, first basic principle. Then there is the namaz, that is salat. Salat is also a basic principle. 5-time salat is very important to manage your activities. When you perform salat 5 times a day, then you are able to manage your time, your day and night. So in this sense, salat is the art of time management. I am not using time management in technical term, as a technical term. No, I am using this word as a spiritual term. You can manage your spirituality in these 5 basic principles. When you perform salat 5 times a day, then you are able to manage your spirituality according to this. So 5-time prayer gives you a principle by which you can manage your life in the term of spirituality. Then there is the Saum, that is fasting. During fasting, you curb your desires. So Saum or fasting means managing your desires. The Saum is a principle. Saum is also a principle by which you can manage your desires. So Saum or Roza or fasting is not simply a ritual, it is also a principle. This principle gives you a method, an art of desire management. Or desire management is very important for every human being, because it is desire that makes you a case of disaster. So if you are able to manage your desires, then you are a complete human being. Then your success is ensured. Then there is the Hajj. Hajj is an international worship. So Hajj means managing Muslim Ummah on international level. Hajj means managing Muslim Ummah or believer community on international level. So Hajj also gives you a very important principle, how to manage international community of Islam. Then there is the Zakat. And in this talk, I am going to say something about Zakat. Zakat is one of the 5 principles of Islam. And Zakat is very important for the process of purification. Zakat literally means purification or making pure. So Zakat pertains to money or earning. So Zakat principle gives you the art of money management, how to manage your money in a right way, how to manage your earning according to the God's commandments. So Zakat is very important in this regard. Zakat gives you the art of money management. Now, there are 2 different aspects of Zakat. Masail-e-Zakat and Haqiqat-e-Zakat. Masail-e-Zakat means legal details. Masail-e-Zakat means legal details of Zakat. So, legal details are very well known, and you can obtain these details over internet. On internet, all the details of Zakat are available. Zakat, that is Z-A-K-A-T. By using this word, you can obtain all the details from internet. It is very easy for any educated person. So, in this talk, I would like to say a few words about Haqiqat-e-Zakat, that is, the wisdom behind Zakat, the meanings behind Zakat, the hikmat of Zakat. That is very important, and there is a very basic purpose of Zakat. Now, Zakat has 2 aspects. One, Haqqullah, and the other one, Haqqul Ibad. When you pay Zakat from your earnings, from your assets, from your savings, you know Zakat is payable on annual basis. Annual basis. That is called Maulana Wahiduddin. After completion of year, that is Hijra calendar. So after completion the year, you have to pay Zakat. So Zakat there are several rates of Zakat. Generally, it is 2.5% from your asset, from your money, from your savings, 2.5%. Then there are some other rates about other things, but generally it is 2.5%. Now, there are 2 basic aspects. One is Haqqullah and the other one is Haqqul Ibad. So, in the Quran, there is فَأْتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ. So, according to the Quran, Zakat is Haqqullah, the right of God. Right of God. So, why it is right of God? Because it is God who has given you all these money, all these things. Your share is very little, less than 1%. Because when you do a business, when you do a job, when you earn any amount of money, it requires God's infrastructure, God's support system. Without divine support system, you cannot earn anything. For example, you have to move on the earth. How you can move on the earth without the gravitational pull? You need oxygen. How you can generate oxygen on your own basis? Oxygen is supplied by God. You need light, because without light you cannot see anything. So again, it is God who is supplying to you light through the sun. So light and air and oxygen and everything is supplied by God. So your effort is very, very little. Your effort is less than 1%, and God's blessing is more than 99%. So you have to pay God's share. God's share means fi sabilillah, in the way of God. In the way of God, that is, in the way of truth, in the way of charity, in the way of dawah work. This is God's share. So when you earn money, you have to remind that this money is not you are not owner of all this money. God is the owner. Your share in this money is less than 1%, and God's share in this money is more than 99%. So you have to pay God His share. You have right to take your share, but it is very little. It is God's blessing that He said that if you give 2.5%, that is enough. Although his share is 99%. Although his share is 99%. But it was His blessing that He directed you to pay just 2.5%. It's very little. So you have to pay this amount for the sake of God. For the sake of God means in the way of dawah work and in the way of service to humanity, in the way of philanthropy, in the way of all those good deeds, or all those good deeds, all those charity, or when you give your money in the way of good deed, in the way of charity, in the way of dawah work, then you are paying the share of God. So God will give you reward for this honesty. It is your honesty that you are paying the share of God. So God will give you reward by acknowledging your honesty. Then it is also haqqul ibad, that is people's share, people's right. Then how it is people's share? How it is people's right? Because you cannot earn anything alone without the assistance of humanity. It is impossible. A whole society, a whole civilization, the 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 all men and women have some share. Otherwise, you cannot do anything. For example, when you do any business or when you do job, you have to travel by car, by train, by aeroplane. This who created who is to who has invented all these things? It is civilization. Civilization is a combined effort of humanity. What is civilization? Civilization is a combined effort of humanity. So the whole civilization is involved. All those things you use in the way of earning money is given to you by civilization. Your cloth, your shoes, your conveyance, and all those things. These cities are given to you by civilization. It is contribution of civilization. So when the humanity contributes to you, when your money was due to all these contribution by humanity, so you have to give it a share. This is an act of honesty. So when you pay zakat, you are acknowledging the contribution of civilization. When you pay zakat, at one side, you are acknowledging the contribution of God in terms of life support system. And when you are paying zakat, and on the other side, when you are paying zakat, you are acknowledging the contribution of humanity or civilization. So these are two haqqullah and haqqul ibad. So zakat has two aspects. In one aspect, you are paying the haqq of God, haqqullah. And the other aspect, you are paying the haqq of man, haqqul ibad. So this is the wisdom of zakat. This is the logic of zakat. This is the philosophy of zakat. This is the ideology of zakat. Then there is a hadith. The Prophet of Islam has said that Prophet of Islam has said about zakat, "Tukhadhu min aghniyaikum wa turaddu ila fuqaraikum." The Prophet of Islam has said about zakat that zakat is taken from rich people and then given to poor people. This is the zakat. Then why this division that there are some rich people, there are some poor people, and why there are some needy people, why there are some wealthy people or some needy people? This is not a permanent division. Every time there is a change. Today's poor becomes rich for tomorrow, and today's rich becomes poor by tomorrow. So every time there is change. Now, why this difference? Why this division in the society? It is due to the law of nature. It is God's scheme to create competition in the society. It is God's scheme to create challenge in the different sections of society. So this is the wisdom behind this division. Without division, without difference, there was no competition, there was no challenge. So God put this difference or division in the society only to create challenge, to create competition. Then He tried to make balance. He commanded to rich people that you have to give the share of poor people. You have to pay zakat so that it will be given to poor people. So at one side, God created people and He put differences. Differences by God. This is the difference that there are poor and there are rich, there are weak and there are strong. So all these differences are due to the scheme, to the creation plan of God. And the wisdom is that it is this difference that creates challenge, that creates competition. Then to establish balance, God has commanded for rich people to pay zakat, so that the poor people may find their due shares. Although this division is not permanent. Every day there is challenge. Every day. Because one who is poor today, the poverty inculcate incentive in his personality. Poverty is not simply poverty. Poverty is a mode of motivation. Poverty is not simply a poverty. It is poverty that motivates you, that gives you incentive. Without poverty, there was no incentive, no motivation. So poverty is not a negative point. Poverty also has a positive point. That it is poverty which gives you incentive, which gives you motivation. So due to this motivation, poor people do their work on a greater scale. They are able to do more effort than the rich people. It is a law of nature. There is a saying, there is a very relevant saying that it is not ease that effort, not facility. It is not ease but effort, not facility but difficulty that makes men. So poverty elevates you. It makes you Superman. Poverty or difficulty makes you Superman. It gives you greater motivation, greater incentive. So behind poverty and behind this division, that there are some rich or some poor. Behind this division, there is a great wisdom. Great wisdom. Without this division, there was no development. It is this difference, it is this division that is responsible for all kind of development and progress. Because without competition, without challenge, there is no progress, no activity, no creativity. So at one side, God created people with differences. Some are rich, some are poor. But on the other side, God gave commandment that rich people must pay zakat, and it will be given to poor people. In this sense, zakat is only temporary relief. It is not permanent thing. Because poverty is a temporary phenomenon. Poverty is not a permanent phenomenon. No, not at all. Neither rich are permanently rich, nor poor is permanently poor. So both are temporary phenomena. So it is a temporary relief to poor. It is not permanent adjustment, permanent settlement. No, zakat is a temporary relief to those people who are temporarily poor. No one is permanently poor. In this world, no one is permanently poor. And also, no one is permanently rich. Every time there is change in society. Every time there are change in equation. So God wanted to make challenge so that people are motivated. And at the same time, God wanted to give some zakat as a temporary relief to the poor people. So this is the creation plan of God. This is the divine scheme. Zakat is not simply a charity. Zakat is not simply a charity. Zakat is a part of divine scheme. It is a very important point. Philanthropy means that philanthropy is very good, but philanthropy has a negative connotation, but zakat has no negative connotation. Zakat refers only to temporary need, temporary relief, because zakat reminds you the creation plan of God. So according to the creation plan, of God, zakat is a temporary relief, and it is to offer some temporary help to those people who are temporarily poor. Then in the Quran there are different words in this regard. Zakat, sadaqah, infaq. These are three words. Zakat, sadaqah, infaq. According to the Quran, zakat is not a charity, it is not simply philanthropy. It is a contribution towards society. And this contribution, there are two levels of this contribution, minimum and maximum. Minimum contribution is 2.5% from your earnings, from your asset, from your money, from your savings. So zakat is a contribution towards society, toward mankind. And then there are two different levels, minimum and maximum. Minimum contribution is 2.5% from your earnings. Then for the maximum contribution, there is no limit. No limit. There is a very relevant verse in the Quran. يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ قُلِ الْعَفْوَ. People ask you about infaq. Infaq means giving money for the betterment of society, for the sake of God. So people ask you about infaq. ماذا ينفقون? People ask you about infaq. So tell them that all that which is more than your need. ماذا ينفقون قل العفو. You have right only for your basic needs. So you have to pay everything other than needs. This is the maximum. Minimum limit of infaq is 2.5%. And the maximum limit of infaq is everything that is more than your need, more than your basic need. So this is the minimum limit and maximum limit. Here I would like to give you two examples about the maximum limit. Everyone knows what is the minimum limit. Everyone knows what is the minimum limit of zakat or infaq or sadaqah. That is 2.5%. Now, what is the maximum limit? I will give you some example from the example of the Prophet, of the companions of the Prophet of Islam. You know, you know, after migration, Prophet migrated from Mecca to Medina, and those who are called Muhajir, basically they were immigrants. In Islamic history, those who are called Muhajir, al-Muhajirun, they were immigrants. And it is a history that immigrants always strive more than the locals, more than the others. Immigrant people are more hard worker, more they plan on a greater scale. They're able to do more than the local people because when they are immigrant, they are more motivated people. One who migrates from his homeland and settles somewhere in any other country, so he inculcates himself more incentive, more motivation. So it is a history that immigrant people do more than the locals. So when these Sahaba, these Muhajirun, settle in Medina as immigrants, they became hard worker, very, very hard worker. And at least two immigrants were the richest man in Medina, richest person in Medina. They were Usman bin Affan and Abdurrahman bin Auf. Usman bin Affan and Abdurrahman bin Auf both were immigrants, but both were richest person in Medina. So they used to spend their money for the sake of God every day and night. Once both were trader, both were businessmen. So both were doing import-export business. So once a caravan came from Syria to Medina. This caravan this caravan was belonging to Usman. So in this caravan there were perhaps 1,000 camels. So 1,000 camels came to Medina from Syria. They were loaded with different kind of trade item. So the traders of Medina visited Usman bin Affan and wanted to purchase all those items. So Usman bin Affan said to these traders that I have offered more than yours. You are offering some rate, but I have already received some offer more than you. So they said that all the traders of Medina is here at your house. So who is going to offer more than our offers? Who is that person? Then he said, he is God Almighty. In the Quran, there is a permanent offer that everyone who spends his money, his earnings in the way of God, for the sake of God, he will be given award 10 times more than the worldly award. So he said that you are offering me some money, but God is offering me 10 times more than this money. So I will give all these things in the way of God. So Usman bin Affan declared that everyone who is needy, who is poor, come here and he may take all these things. So he gave all these money in the way of God. So this was an example of maximum charity, maximum infaq. The same happened with Abdurrahman bin Auf. Abdurrahman bin Auf was a senior Sahabi, a senior companion of the Prophet of Islam. He was also an immigrant, and he was a great trader in Medina. So one day, his caravan reached to Medina from Syria. This caravan was of 1,000 camels. This caravan was comprised of 1,000 camels. All these camels were loaded with commodities like cereal and other food items. So Abdurrahman Auf was a senior Sahabi. He announced at that time in Medina, the people were in need of food items. Food items were a scarcity of food items at that time. So Abdurrahman Auf decided not to exploit the situation. Instead, he decided to distribute freely to all those people without any price. So Abdurrahman bin Auf announced in Medina that all those people who are needy, who are poor, who are in need of food items, they come to my home and I will give them all these food items free without any cost. So they came, all those needy people came to his office, his house. All those needy people came to his house and he distributed all those food items free of cost. So this was an example of maximum infaq. He distributed all those food items without any cost. So this was an example of maximum infaq. This was an example of maximum infaq. Then there is a verse in the Quran. It reads, "Yuti malahu yatazakka." Yuti malahu yatazakka. It means that believers give their money for the purpose of purification, for the purpose of self-purification. So, by this Quranic verse, we can understand that what is the real purpose of zakat, what is the real purpose of infaq, what is the real purpose of sadaqah. It is self-purification. You know, money is most important things for every human being. Everyone is a great lover of money. Everyone loves money. Everyone. There is a saying in Persian language that Jami talabi मुज़ायक़ा नीस्त, ज़र्मी तलबी सखुंदरी नस्त. It means that if you ask my life, then it is okay. I am ready to give you my life. जामी तलबी मुज़ायक़ा नीस्त, ज़र्मी तलबी सखुंदरी नस्त. If you ask my life, it is okay. But if you ask money, so it is not very easy. It is a difficult question. So, man loves money. No one is ready to give money for others. Everyone wants to spend money in his own interest, to fulfill his desires. So no one by nature wants to give his money to other people. So when you pay zakat or sadaqah or infaq, you are exercising a sacrifice. Zakat or sadaqah or infaq are an act of sacrifice, because when you pay zakat or sadaqah or infaq, you curb your desires, you kill your love. Without sacrifice, one cannot give his money to others. So it is very difficult. This is the formula of tazkiyah or purification. You love money. You want to fulfill your desires. But when you give money to others for the sake of God, then you are curbing your desire, you are curbing your love towards money. This is purification. By giving zakat or sadaqat or infaq, you purify your soul from lust, from greed, from self-interest. So it is very important. ذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. According to this verse, and also there are some other verses and hadiths that tell us that giving money is the most important thing in the way of tazkiyah. Everyone is required to do tazkiyah, that is purification, purifying your soul. This is important for everyone because there is another verse in the Quran that zalika jazao man tazakka. It means that paradise will be rewarded only to those people who have completed their tazkiyah course. Paradise will be rewarded to those who are purified person, purified soul. So only purified soul can go to paradise. And then money is the most important source of this purification. So the formula is that giving money purifies your soul, and purified soul will be rewarded paradise. So this is very important. Giving money is the key to paradise. Giving money for the sake of God is road to paradise. It means that zakat and sadaqat and infaq are not simple thing. It is the road to paradise. It is the road to paradise. Because according to the Quran, giving money, according to the Quran, when you give money for the sake of God, you purify your soul. And only purified soul can go to paradise. So zakat or sadaqat or infaq are very important for your future, for success in the world hereafter. According to the Quran, zakat or sadaqat or infaq are not simply philanthropy, a social service. No, it is way to paradise. It is road to paradise. It is not simply a philanthropy, a worldly service. It has a other worldly value also. When you give money for the sake of God, you purify your soul. And only purified soul are those who are deserving candidate for paradise.